And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy.
I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
We get together, have a few laughs.
May it please the tribunal? The grave charges in this case have not been laid before the tribunal casually or unreflectingly. The indictment accuses these men of major responsibility for visiting upon mankind the most searing and catastrophic war in modern history. It accuses them of wholesale enslavement, plunder, and murder. These are terrible charges. No man should underwrite them frivolously or vengefully, or without deep and humble awareness of the responsibility which he thereby shoulders. There is no laughter in this case. Neither is there any hate.
Wow! There is no laughter in this case, nor is there any hate. I don't know what I think about that.
Definitely not much laughter.
No, I think there's always laughter, no matter how sick the situation is with us. We're always laughing.
Can you put in a laugh track on that?
Teepee can do whatever he wants.
I could.
Welcome to the Iowa Talk, guys.
I'm your host, Teepee.
And I'm Erock.
And I'm your host, Theo. With part deux. That's part 2 in French. I don't know if you knew that or not.
What's in German?
Do? I don't know. Should know this, but I'm an ignorant American.
Yep. Hashtag me too. So, part 2 of Operation Paperclip.
Part 2 of Operation Paperclip. Last time, of course, we talked about a few of the notable places and some of what they were doing there.
Yeah. These good Germans.
Yeah, the good Germans, right? Which was precisely the, let's just call it, this is our show. It's propaganda.
Yeah.
Upon the American people. They were told, these are the good Germans.
Yeah, we were just, cleaning toilets when they were doing all these bad things. We didn't see it.
Yeah, and these frickin' military opportunists, some in uniform, worked at the Pentagon and whatnot.
Others in suits.
We got to get these guys because we will dominate the globe with their wonder weapons.
Russia's next. So we got to get these boys.
We got to get to the moon.
But wonder weapons, we got to get to the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sputnik came after World War II, or the Second World War, obviously. And
the space race.
What did the world see right after the Second World War? These
the Cold War.
Massive expansions in weapons technology, rockets, all sorts of stuff. Both sides, quote unquote, right,
yeah,
of the Cold War. Massive expansions in all this technology and whatnot. And the Second World War proved to be a valuable proving ground, as sick as that sounds. But we're going to get into some of the people here. That's what we told you we was going to do.
The names.
It's the names of these good Germans. Who they were and what they did.
Oh, we already talked about what they did. Well, yeah, I guess we're going to talk about what they did. Some
whatever, man.
Specific names now.
The star of the show.
That you want to bring up the star?
Yeah.
The Disney Channel German?
Werner von Braun.
Werner von Braun. I'm surprised at the amount of people who have not heard this guy's name.
Well, I'm surprised by the amount of people that have heard his name, and they were like, "Oh, he was one of the good Germans."
He was one of the good Germans, right?
Yeah, he wasn't an actual Nazi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not true.
That's not true at all.
That's not true at all. No,
Yeah, he was.
He was an SS officer.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, we talked about the SS and how.
But he didn't believe in Nazi ideology.
No, he didn't believe in Nazi ideology. In fact, a lot of what he talked about, pre-recording, you mentioned a quote. What was it like? Or was it you, Erock? It was like, don't care what happens. It's just let's advance this technology.
Yeah, once the rocket's in the air, where it goes is not my department or whatever. Yeah, Erock, you brought that up.
Yeah. Once the rocket is in the air, where it goes is not my department. You sick bastard.
Right. But he was a good German.
He's one of the good Germans.
Yeah, he was also the one that I quoted on the last show about paying no attention to the dead bodies.
Oh.
This is necessary for the...
Was he like the Elon Musk?
The progression of the Third Reich.
Well, no, he wasn't like... He's not like Elon Musk.
No, dude.
I don't know why you would say that.
He just wants to fly rockets.
Oh, because you're a savage.
No, he just wants to fly rockets.
Well,
Why don't you just go play with your rockets?
Why don't you go play with your rockets, space boy?
He doesn't...
You watched little too much October Sky when you was a kid.
Fucking nerd. Point Dexter.
October Sky is where I became aware of Werner von Braun, actually.
Nice.
Because that glorified him a little bit as well. Do you remember that?
Well, Walt Disney and him were buddies.
You shakes it. Oh, do you know whose hand you just shook? That was Werner von Braun. This kid had a autographed picture of him in his bedroom and shit. This dude was an SS officer, man.
Yeah. Yeah, he was, we got a direct quote from Annie Jacobson's book.
Well, yeah. Hey, I did interrupt Erock.
That was the Time magazine where they said he was just trying to advance his career.
He was just trying to advance his career. He was a German aristocrat, and I want to say that he actually came from a family of rocket developers. Like, this is what they was doing. It was noted his arrogance upon capture, quote unquote. He was in the Bavarian Alps, and he sent his brother Magnus down the hill on this bicycle to establish contact with the Americans.
Yeah.
And then they played their little games. Finally, von Braun, ended up meeting with the Americans, yada, yada, yada. And one of the soldiers noted how his arrogance, because he was a German aristocrat, right?
Okay.
This dude he didn't dig a ditch. He didn't do anything like this.
No.
But, go ahead.
The only backbreaking work he did was picking up his Stein.
Sure.
At the end of the
Stein,
day.
yeah.
Huh?
The Oktoberfest.
Yes.
Das Boot. So, yeah, he was arrogant. He was asking the soldiers where the medals. What's the medals for? How did you get this medal? Oh, like
that's cute.
Yes. Shortly after this, he said he was like, after the capture, he was straight up said, "I want to talk to Ike." He was so confident in his value after everything that had happened. We had established last time that he was chief of the not the concentration camp, but the factory that was supplied with workers from Dora concentration camp. Nordhausen.
Yes.
Explain Ike.
Eisenhower. Yeah, Dwight D. Eisenhower. Excuse me. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's Dwight D. Eisenhower, the supreme Allied commander of...
What was that slogan he used on his campaign trail?
Well, I'm not too sure.
You're right with Ike.
Ike for president, Ike for president, Ike for president, Ike for president. You like Ike, I like Ike, everybody likes Ike for president.
Some horse crap.
Yeah, something like that. But that's what everybody referred to him as.
Right, yeah, because he's using his campaign trail.
Yeah, and that's what the American people called him, even when he was like a general. Ike. Dwight Eisenhower.
Oh, yeah,
Ike
yeah.
That was his name.
Yep. But yeah, it says here, this excerpt from the book.
Book Operation Paperclip by Annie Jacobson, which is the main source really in the world for this information. And that's what we used.
So Werner von Braun, who was the technical director of V weapons, what'd you call them? The
Wunderweapons. So wonder weapons.
Yeah.
Don't forget about that V, because I have just a funny little correlation.
Cool. The Age of Aquarius weapons. Development for the German army and head of the
Mittelbau Dora Planning Office.
Yeah, there you go. A division within ZSS.
So he was end quote of Annie Jacobson there. He was the head of a planning office within the SS.
Mm-hmm.
One of the good Germans. This dude.
We were just poker buddies, and they invited me over to run a few things by me.
You know this guy met Heinrich Himmler.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right?
You don't work on
Who's Heinrich Himmler?
The head of the
SS. And he was... upon revealing himself, he was disguised. But doctor, upon examining him, once he gave himself up, noticed a blue-tipped capsule in the back of his mouth, and then once the doctor tried to grab it, he jerked back, and within a minute and a half, he was gone.
Cyanide tooth. Yep.
Like Jabba the Hutt.
Nazi to the death.
Yeah. Even though he did believe he had capital to exchange and be able to make a deal, but
probably not.
He probably.
I don't know. They might have, after giving all these other guys a deal and pass and whatnot. So,
well, they didn't give Air Force guy. What was the big fat German? The big fat Air Force. Erwin Goering.
Yeah, that's true. I guess the situation always dictated.
Yeah.
So, set under Operation Paperclip, von Braun worked for the U.S. Army, Fort Bliss, Texas, and became director of the Marshall Space Flight Center and chief architect of the Saturn V 5 launch vehicle, which propelled Americans to the moon.
End quote. Annie Jacobson, Operation Paperclip. The Saturn V launch vehicle.
Yeah.
But there's that V.
Right. Again.
The Wunderweapons. It is a
This
Wunder.
is a very, very special design by my family.
Yeah. That's
This is almost just too in plain sight that like people just that never happened.
That's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
I've heard it all before.
Well, I just mean the whole story. You know, like, Werner von Braun did not do anything bad. Okay?
Yeah. He was just working in his office the whole time.
Everyone was on vacation.
In Berlin. Where nothing bad ever happened. Until the Americans got there.
Yeah.
I will hear no more insinuations about the German people. Nothing bad happened. Sie werden sich hinsetzen. Sie werden ruhig sein. Sie werden nicht beleidigen Deutschland.
Wow. So, yeah, he also, like I said, he was partnered with Walt Disney. He used to talk to our parents before they went to sleep at night sometimes on the show.
Good night, little American children.
Thank you.
Walt Disney was very good at using film and television to increase public interest in certain topics, which was exactly what von Braun was trying to do for space exploration. Together, they teamed up on creating 3 television programs: Man in Space, Man on the Moon, and Mars and Beyond. Disney and his studio served as the artists and animators behind the shows, while von Braun served as technical director. Von Braun actually appeared in these episodes, which focused on explaining how manned space travel to the moon and beyond was actually possible.
Even though we now have the theoretical knowledge to make a trip to the moon, it will be many years yet before our plans can fully materialize. However, Let us imagine for a moment that the many problems have been solved and that after completing our space station, we are ready to begin our first voyage around the moon.
With over 42 million viewers in the first episode alone, there is little doubt that Disney and Von Braun helped to ignite the American public's fascination with space travel.
We need to lay off the fucking German accents.
Well, I don't know.
It's fun, though.
Yeah, it is. They're easy. Unlike all the other accents, apparently we can't do.
Erock, would you like to be a part of this discussion?
9.
Attaboy.
All right. Next on the list.
Yeah, I want to go. I want to talk
It's
about.
not Schindler's List, but we got a list of names here.
No, I was talking to my wife about that last night.
Yeah.
I was like, have you ever watched Schindler's List? She's like, no, I've not been able. I was like, you need to watch that movie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm not like a Spielberg's awesome type guy, but that is like, you know.
Anyway.
It's
heartbreaking.
It's a big one, yeah. So we're going to go with this guy named Kurt Davis. One thing that I want to talk about quick before we quote the profile from the book is something that these dudes did, these hardcore Nazis.
Hardcore.
Like back in the day, before the war and everything, right?
Yeah.
When they were a bunch of spry college boys.
Oh, yeah.
They would get into these combat dueling matches with swords.
Oh.
Not fencing. There's not like a tip on the damn thing or anything.
Well, they would take the tip off.
They just had like wire goggles and something to protect their nose so they didn't get their frickin' eyes gouged out.
Or their nose cut off. And if somebody happened to receive a scar or something, get their face cut, which we've also actually seen like the old movies that have a Nazi with a dueling scar. Remember
or some old badass in some movie where they have a dueling scar, on their face, like a big...
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they would...
Oh, and remember that dude that had caught Charlie after he got the golden ticket? He was working for Wonka.
Oh, my goodness. His name is on my... Walter Wadsworth or something. Wadsworth?
Is it Wadsworth?
Yeah.
May I introduce myself? Oscar Slugworth, president of Slugworth Chocolates Incorporated.
So, he had all those nasty scars on his face.
Fun little fact, a lot of things about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the old one with Gene Wilder, the original musical. Erock and I we're fans.
Yeah?
We bonded.
That's cute.
Yeah, well, we got all fucked up one night and...
listen to the soundtrack
and
on
he
vinyl.
has the
soundtrack. Told me that.
He's got the soundtrack on vinyl. Anyway, we're talking about Operation Paperclip.
Well, they would get their faces slashed.
Yeah,
right? These
so then
SS officers and their dueling matches.
Well, it's not SS officers. They were like Nazi party members, college boys, and this is like this was kind of a testosterone-filled manly thing to do at the time, right?
Toxic masculinity.
So if they got a big scar on his face, and come on, from getting cut by a sword, but come on, if you were a young man and you wanted to be a fucking badass, like, wouldn't you just consider...
Chicks dig scars.
Yes.
Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
Wouldn't you just consider, like,
cutting your own face?
No, this is cool.
Oh.
Just for a little bit, maybe not.
Like, smoking was brought up for us, our generation, right?
I don't know.
Smoking's cool.
Slashing your face and stuffing with horsehair is cool.
Well, yeah, Annie Jacobson said on Joe Rogan, I believe it was, that they would pack the scar with horsehair.
Yeah.
The cut with horsehair, and then they would, like, sew it up so it would just look fucking mean. And Kurt Davis, he was a dueling scar guy. He had these scars on his face, and... What's really interesting about him is he has a picture. It's in this book, and you can go online and you can find it rather easily.
Yeah.
But of him and U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson at this, like, the Space Center or Mission Control or some shit. I can't remember which one it was. And he's sitting there with the president. You can see the scar on his face. This dude was a hardcore Nazi. In fact...
DuckDuckGo, like you put in his name and like the first 3 recommended is Scar, Kurt Dubas, Scar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, he looks super tough.
He was a V weapons engineer, Wunderweapons. Oh, yep. The Saturn V. Oh, excuse me, it was the Saturn V.
And there's Kennedy right next to him too, on the other side of LBJ.
Yeah. Oh, so Kennedy must have been president at the time.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible?
Wow.
To quote the book, Kurt Dubas was a V-weapons engineer who oversaw mobile rocket launches as well as those at Peenemünde. We explained Peenemünde last time. It was the development place on the Baltic, got bombed out by the British, right?
Right.
And then they moved into Nordhausen, into the caves, into the tunnels. Quote, Nazi, he wore the SS uniform to work. In America, Kurt Dubas became the first director of NASA's John F. Kennedy Space Center in Florida and worked for the U.S. Army in Texas as well. Isn't that kind of crazy?
It's pretty wild.
He turned a guy in one time in Germany, it's rumored.
Oh, yeah?
Spoke out against the party.
Oh, really?
Yeah, turned him in.
If you see something, say something to local authorities.
A guy was speaking out against the party.
Against the Nazi party. And
Kurt took care of him.
Kurt made sure that the Fuhrer his honor was kept intact. There's an award that's given out to this day. Annie Jacobson talked about calling them. Who is it that offers that award?
The National Space Club.
There you go.
Yeah.
To this day, it is offered in his name.
No, really?
Yes. Nazi.
Since 1999.
And Erock also saw something about some of his Dubas's engineering rockets were used to carry some of the first nuclear warheads, right? And tests.
And he was also inducted into the National Space Hall of Fame in 1969.
SS.
Yeah.
Which is just a big-ass joke as the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That Kugo's and like...
It's an honor. I like it. Keep it up. So, you got anything else you want to say about Dubas?
Let's move to Otto Ambros.
Like St. Ambrose?
Yeah, I don't think he was a saint.
No.
So you remember we were talking about a lot of the biological stuff that was going on?
Mm-hmm.
Or excuse me, poison gas.
The Tobin
and whatnot.
Mustard gas.
Something else that
Zyklon B.
Yeah. Well, that was IG Farben. And Otto Ambros was a chemist for IG Farben.
Nice.
One thing that we didn't mention in the last installment was a technology that the Nazis had developed. And think about this. They cut off a lot of opportunity to get imported goods and whatnot when they, started going east and, invading a bunch of countries and whatnot. So rubber became something that they just couldn't get, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that the German Navy everybody was trying to sink them as soon as they could, to get stuff from Brazil or Central America or wherever the hell they were going to get it from, Africa. Well, he was a co-discoverer of Buna, which was a synthetic rubber.
Okay.
Isn't that incredible?
Is that where they get the Buna O-rings from?
Well, I'm not familiar with Buna O-rings, but apparently you are.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
On parts.
Yeah. It's synthetic rubber O-rings. So.
Didn't we say at the beginning of last show, things that we take for granted today? O-rings. Buna, synthetic rubber. Maybe they're Buna. Maybe the same thing. Who knows? I don't know. That's ironic. That's weird.
Right. Well, and also don't forget IG Farben -Bear. So that's who they are now.
Right. Well,
they'll save you from having a heart attack.
We used to gas you, now we save your life.
Yeah, they grow a lot of corn as well, GMO corn.
Yeah, they sure do. Yeah.
Let's just quote this. To quote the book, IG Farben, chemist, co-discoverer of sarin gas and Buna synthetic rubber, he was awarded 1 million Reichsmarks by Hitler as a Scientific Achievement Award.
Well, that's how you let a guy know that you're doing a good job.
Quote, served the Third Reich as chief of the Committee C for Chemical Warfare, manager of IG Farben's slave labor factory at Auschwitz, which we mentioned last episode, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And
slave
manager
labor for Dr. Mengele.
And apparently, Otto Ambrose, slave labor factory at Auschwitz, and manager of the Dionfirth poison gas facility. He was tried and convicted at Nuremberg after an early release, he worked for the U.S. Chemical Corporation, W.R. Grace, the U.S. Department of Energy, and other European government and private sector concerns. So, if my mind serves me correctly from my reading, he didn't actually come to the United States because he was obviously a chemist at Auschwitz, and we've talked about and heard about some of the chemical experiments and whatnot that they were doing at Auschwitz. So they left him in Germany. It's where he was doing a lot of this stuff.
Apparently, he was released from prison in 1951 due to good behavior.
Yeah, so he did get convicted. He was tried and convicted at Nuremberg, we said, and then got out in 51 because
he was a good German.
He was a good German.
And then he went on to work for such chemical companies as W.R. Grace, which is based out of Maryland, Dow Chemical, based out of Michigan.
Chemist. So what's interesting
and
about
the U.S. Army Chemical Corps.
Chemical
Corps.
Chemical Corps. Chemical Corps. We should start a band. Okay.
Ambrose was discovered. They thought he was an interesting character before they even knew who he was.
Why he act all squirrely?
No, he just always had a smile on his face, and I guess that's kind of squirrely. I guess. Yes, TP. Excellent job.
Was he huffing?
No, they discovered him, and he was like handing out all sorts of soap and shit, and detergents, and yeah, you need to.
I made this fat from. This from the fat of the dead Jews.
You need to wash your tanks. Here are some solvents. Yay! So I mean, he had all sorts of chemicals, and he's a nice guy, right? They found out he was educating all sorts of GIs about how they found out that there was some ailment that prior to the winter of Napoleon trying to reach Moscow, a bunch of his soldiers just got sick and shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, cleanliness is how you keep soldiers healthy. So they made all sorts of really easy detergents and stuff like that. And, a bunch of American GIs coming in that hadn't had a bath in a month and a half. You can imagine, oh, shit, bar of soap. Hell yeah. Thank you, sir.
What did it do to him, though?
Yeah. No, it's just he knew.
Oh,
he knew it was over.
Okay, he didn't try to kill all these Americans in one last swoop.
No, he got a job.
Okay, good.
Man. He kept it cool after that, right?
Because he was a good German.
He was a good German, I guess. That's the story we were told.
I have to keep reiterating because they're so good.
That's just interesting, Auschwitz, in charge of a unit at Auschwitz, and the U.S. government paid him.
He manager of IG Farben's slave labor at Auschwitz. Like
IG Auschwitz. We talked about it last
That's kind of a big deal, I think. Pretty sick. He knew exactly what was going on there.
We did talk about Bluma a little bit last time, Kurt Bluma.
Dr. Kurt Bluma.
Quote, Deputy Surgeon General of the Reich, Deputy Chief of Reich's Physicians League, and member of the Reich Research Council. He served as chief of the Reich's bioweapons facilities in Nesselstedt, Poland, and Geraburg, Germany, which we talked about. Geraburg was... Well, it was like the aerosol chambers, or maybe that was the sweatback wing. I can't remember. Vulcan Row. I can't remember exactly. But we did talk about Geraburg last time.
Continue the quote.
Germany. An old fighter, quote unquote, Nazi party member, he wore the Golden Party badge and was a lieutenant general in the SA. So that's like stormtroopers. It was another paramilitary organization.
Okay.
After cutting that last episode and listening to it, because you did such a great final job, Teepee.
Well, thanks, man.
I realized that was a kind of a word that we didn't use last time. Make sense? Paramilitary. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's what the SS is.
Right.
They're operating outside of normal legal framework. Because if you did this, you go to fucking jail. You're murdering people.
Yeah. And forcing other people to murder people.
Right. So the SA was another paramilitary. Stormtroopers. I mean, the name says it all.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
To continue the quote, the JIOA, the Joint Intelligence Objectives Agency. Folks, Operation Paperclip didn't actually start until what, like 1947? Isn't that what you saw?
1945.
1945?
Yeah. The JIOA was the organization directly responsible for Operation Paperclip, an OSS and Army CIC program for recruiting German scientists primarily from 1945 to 1959.
All the way to 59, according to, what, Wikipedia or something?
Yeah.
They're recruiting German scientists?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that.
Yeah, real interesting.
The JIOA tried but failed to bring him to America, but he did work for the U.S. Army at Camp Kind in Oberursel.
Camp Kind, because he's a good German.
Oberursel. There we go. Oberursel, Germany. According to Annie Jacobson, Operation Paperclip. I believe she did say in the book that he went to the Soviet Union in the end.
It's crazy. He, was in charge of bioweapons.
So, also remember, we described, and another guy that we're going to talk about in a bit here. He was the Deputy Surgeon General of Third Reich. Well, you remember we talked about, I don't know if we mentioned Schreiber in the last episode. Maybe we did, but Major General Dr. Walter Schreiber.
I think we did.
We're going to get to him in a minute, but we did talk about this. Bloma was the bioweapons expert, right?
Right.
And he was the one that would create the agent or whatever that you're dropping into a town or shelling into a town.
Okay.
Schreiber, the Surgeon General of the Reich, was the vaccinologist.
Oh, nice.
And so, wipe out the town, send the soldiers in, they're vaccinated.
Like we talked about, yeah.
No, we don't even have to kill anybody. So nice, we just get the Jews in here to clean up the dead.
I'm going to quote this from the book, Operation Paperclip by Annie Jacobson. Major General Dr. Walter Schreiber was the Surgeon General of the Third Reich. The most sinister crime in which Schreiber is involved is the introduction of intravenous lethal fentanyl injections, explained war crimes investigator Dr. Leopold Alexander.
Really?
Quote, as a quick and convenient means of executing troublemakers. End quote. And to end quote the book. He got a paperclip contract, U.S. Army, Camp King, Germany, and the U.S. Air Force, Texas. But he died in Argentina, I believe. I believe that there were trials that came about afterwards.
Interesting.
That got his ass sent out of the United States. And he died in Argentina.
Down that nice little German town?
Probably. There's a bunch of them.
In Argentina?
And Chile and yada, yada, yada.
That's weird.
So... last guy we're gonna probably talk about.
No,
here.
you mentioned the other one in the book here prior to this guy on here.
Who's that? Schreiber?
Was it Schreiber? Yeah.
Just covered him. I mean, not to like a...
Oh, so he was the one that would just doing the vaccinations.
Well, he was
Was he brought over in Paperclip too?
He was brought over in Paperclip, but then there was like a DOJ investigation into what he actually did. They got like really into it. And he's like, okay, I'll leave. Okay, I'm out. And he went to Argentina.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Blom was the one that died in Argentina.
No.
Okay.
No, Schreiber.
Okay.
Excuse me there. That I probably did that one. But Bloma and Schreiber are very connected. In fact, they were rivals. And one's Surgeon General, one's deputy, and they're both working.
Both alpha males,
playing into each other's, professions, and had it worked, could have benefited the German army very much. Just shell the whole town. Anybody who comes into contact with the gas is gone. But your soldiers are good.
Even if they come into contact with the gas.
Yeah.
That'd be scary.
Or a biological agent.
Right. All right. Let's move on to Dick Berger. I'm sorry. Major General Walter Dornberger.
So you didn't know on Dr. Kurt Bloma?
Sure.
That he was hired by the CIA guy Sidney Gottlieb to work on the MK Ultra program?
Oh, Sidney Gottlieb.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
According to
MK Ultra program.
Yeah, well, didn't you also mention something about the chemist introducing
Poisoner in Chief Sidney Gottlieb in the CIA?
Gottlieb
by Stephen Kinzer.
Oh yeah, we'll mention that here after we get done.
Yeah, that's funny. Sidney
Major.
Gottlieb, and then we got something to lead into.
We'll Jan Psaki back to that.
Yeah, we're gonna Jen Psaki back to that one for the old finish, and then into one of the closing one of the next specials that we do.
Yeah. So we're gonna get on to this Walter Dornberger, Major General.
I believe that's Field Marshal, right? Isn't that what they called him? I don't know.
Whoop-de-doo.
Quote, wartime German general in charge of V weapons development and the technical staff officer in the Nordhausen slave labor tunnels. He was arrested by the British for war crimes, interned in England, and later released into U.S. custody under Operation Paperclip. He worked for the U.S. Air Force and then the Bell Aircraft Corporation. Really nice helicopters, folks. Until the late 1950s, he acted as a missile and space base weapons consultant to the Joint Chiefs, carrying a top secret clearance and visiting the Pentagon frequently. Released to U.S. custody with the warning that he was a menace of the First Order. Andy Jacobson, Operation Paperclip.
Apparently not enough big menace to not be able to get top secret clearance.
And just walk into the Pentagon?
Yeah, like he owns the place.
As he,
Just like he used to walk into the Führer's office.
Into the, what they call it, like the Reichs building, whatever the fuck that massive... Well, Hitler's bunker was under there, I believe.
Dude, that's crazy. So, yeah, they were intentionally just killing off people to test the Zyklon B at Auschwitz and stuff and everything. This guy obviously knew what was going on.
Well, yeah. And obviously had no conscience.
I was just a good German following orders.
They had no conscience either in the matter. Or if they did, didn't do anything about it. Maybe they were scared. Maybe they were that scared. I don't think so. You look at all those videos of those assholes and whatnot. They look pretty fucking happy.
Yeah. They weren't upset about it at all.
Doesn't seem like it. But the worst part is, and really this just poses a moral question, is do we lose all these guys to the Soviet Union, or do they come to the United States and we get them as well?
Well, yeah. I don't know.
We advance, or just the Soviets advance. It's tough.
At what cost? I mean,
these guys were bad dudes, man.
Yeah. Like Corn Pop.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude. And he ran a bunch of bad boys.
He's a bad boy.
Who's a bad dude.
He was a bad dude. He ran with a lot of bad dudes. And they were, though. These guys were scum.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to compartmentalize the death and the murder, I mean, working people to death to further their science. What was that quote in Jurassic Park?
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they didn't stop to think if they should.
I don't remember that quote exactly, but that's good. I guess the my main takeaway from this is, and what our podcast is about, is talking about what human beings are capable of. We've mentioned this a ton of times. This isn't that long ago.
Right. It really isn't. It wasn't.
And when you think, oh, geez, well, they've got a degree from Yale. Or name any other damn school that just...
How impressive.
Yeah. Do you understand that those people, even the highest performing people in medical professions and whatnot and yada, 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 these people are capable of doing just extremely horrible shit to others.
Well, like I said, the scary part about it is the way how they compartmentalize that these are not real human beings.
Übermenschen?
Yeah.
Untermenschen.
Right. That's along the same thought process and mentality of white people are just born bad. That's teaching that to people.
That's a pretty interesting connection. It obviously sounds pretty similar.
I mean, and that's pretty scary.
Eerily similar.
Yeah. Because it's not like Hitler just got elected and then turned around and was like, all right, we're doing this. And everybody's just going to follow along because you don't want it to happen to you. Right?
No, there were zealots. There were ideologues.
It took them, almost 10 years until they finally invaded Poland?
When 39, they invaded Poland. You mean the Nazi Party?
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly when Hitler became chancellor. You remember how they...
Erock, you want to look that up quick? Well, when did Hitler become elected?
But
I mean, when he was
became elected chancellor, but then once he became elected chancellor, which was sort of a big it was a big position, and the what do you want to call it? The Kaiser, or I think the Kaiser was done after World War I, but
yeah.
Regardless, the big guy in Germany.
It was 1933.
That he became chancellor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he was given kind of, okay, let's get these Nazis to shut up position.
Oh.
So here's Hitler as chancellor. Well, he's just like, how do I seize all of these fucking shit?
Right, and let's do this way.
Yeah.
And then propagandize the entire population.
Did it.
Not only them, but also their neighbors. You know, in Austria, they just walked in and annexed the place.
I think there was actually a referendum on that in Austria. And Hitler didn't do bad.
Yeah, well...
You can talk about the legitimacy of it or not, but it's been rumored for a long time that Austrian Nazis were oftentimes the most fervent.
Yeah.
Amon Gut, the guy from Schindler's List that just... go out for target practice this morning.
Oh, yeah.
He was from Vienna.
Oh,
it's been rumored that those guys were ardent Nazis. The Austrian ones were particularly fervent.
And that makes sense.
It's also, I believe that Hitler didn't go into Austria with tanks and shit. Oh, they fucking... Oh, yes! Führer,
yeah,
please!
are you not a Nazi?
Yeah.
Yeah. And but they convinced that whole population also, like, of their ideology. And got them to, like, just walk in. That didn't just happen overnight.
No.
It took them years of propaganda.
But not that many either, though.
That's true, too.
It took...
But they manipulated...
It was compounded by bad times after the First World War,
and
right?
they used that to their advantage.
Treaty of Versailles.
Never let a bad...
a good crisis go to waste.
Yeah. And they took advantage of that.
Of course.
And people were upset. I mean, literally their whole lives were turned upside down, even if they weren't involved in the war whatsoever. Like, their life savings were now completely worthless.
Yes.
So, yeah, using the times, the people, their anger at the situation, and then giving them a boogeyman to point the finger at.
You bet. These Jews are the ones doing
They
it.
are the ones that did this, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Since Jesus Christ, look at that.
And then there you go.
Yeah.
It's just, but it wasn't.
These white people are the ones that are doing all this stuff to you.
Yeah. It wasn't
Ever since
just the Jews, of course. It was homosexuals, gypsies, communists. Another thing that I want to bring to the forefront here is think about how the United States, and I mean, gosh, rightfully so, in my opinion, during the Cold War, took an anti-communist position, right?
Yeah.
But did they take like a
anti-socialist?
Did they take like an Austrian school of economics anti-communist position? Or did they take like a fascist Nazi anti-communist position? Which is just, hey, those assholes think they're tougher and more violent than us. That's all that is.
A dick measuring contest.
Yeah, it's a dick measuring contest between people that love blood and power.
And unfortunately, innocent blood is spilt.
So, what's not to say that all of that anti-communist stuff, and folks, we are not communists on this show. We are not defending communists.
No.
Never will. Or communism. But could that information have come from Nazis that were working in the CIA?
Most likely, probably.
Seems like the most likely scenario to me.
Well, wasn't one of the intelligence officers of the SS brought over through Operation Paperclip as well?
I would imagine. We didn't profile one, and none of them are, like, I can't bring a name to mind.
Okay.
But, yeah, that happened. And the CIA was created afterwards. The OSS was the thing at the time, and it was only during wartime. And Truman and Ike liked the idea of clandestine war as opposed to direct conflict. So the CIA was created, but we had these assholes here doing it.
Yeah. And that way we don't have to have media cameras around snooping around here wondering what we're doing.
Masters of propaganda?
Yeah.
Masters of propaganda.
Well, and look what they did with the Japanese American after Pearl Harbor.
Oh, you mean what our government did? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was prior to Paperclip. And
that was prior. That was propaganda. Yeah, that was just
American. But it was propaganda,
and using the situation
the book was
at
written,
hand.
The book was written in America, man.
The propaganda, Edward Bernays.
By Edward Bernays, yeah.
Who was his dad or granddad or whatever?
Wasn't he Freud's nephew or some shit like that?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Sigmund Freud's nephew. Or
allegedly.
No, allegedly.
We don't know. We don't have the...
But that's what the word on the street is.
Propaganda.
And who was Sigmund Freud? Psychologist.
Father of psychology? Isn't that his nickname?
Yeah, the father of psychology.
I failed a psychology class in college one time.
Weird. This guy knew how to pick brains and manipulate people on a level that they don't understand.
Oh, he was also Austrian, right?
Oh, that's strange. Weird.
Not that Austrians and Germans are bad.
Right. Just these ones were
Well, this is just
good.
Where it happened and who it was. And you know what? Here's what it takes. Here's what it takes to be, I guess, my little definition of what it takes to be a man. Or what part of it, man, you got to admit that you're able to fucking do shit like that, and that you don't want to. You know what I mean?
Now you're a man, now you're a man.
Everybody can be. It's a daily battle to not fall into being, I guess, washed away by something like that.
Oh, and standing for your own principles.
Yeah, and just stand
ethics.
Yeah.
Yeah, morals. Unfortunately, there's been social experiments done where people will just follow the status quo because it's easy that way.
It's conditioning.
Propaganda.
Yeah.
Psychological conditioning.
Like I said, they're hitting you on a level you don't even understand. Like, you know what the color of hunger is? A color that's supposed to make you hungry?
What?
Orange.
Why is that? I don't understand.
I don't know. But they figured out that color, when people see that color, it triggers that hunger feeling, yeah. So, now think of how many fast foods have restaurants either have orange or red and yellow in their...
Mickey D's.
Hardee's, Carl's Jr., Burger King. Taco Bell's got red and yellow.
Yeah.
A&W.
And all of that yeah.
Also, it says yellow.
Wendy's, yeah. Yellow and red.
orange.
Then think
which your subconscious can do that, yeah.
And then think about all of the advances in genetic modification, chemistry, our food supply, companies that we've already named that are in the business now. Dude, we're eating chemicals.
Yeah.
On an industrial scale that originated from what we're talking about here, man. At least 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. Well,
Not
another
even 7
chemical that we
degrees.
consume on a constant basis if you're in a city, fluoride. And who was the first government to do that?
To fluoridate water?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I know. Erock confirmed this for me.
The Germans?
Nazi Germany. Because they believe it helped to make their population dumb down.
Well, I know it's one of the active ingredients in rat poison, right?
Weird.
Or like the old rat poison.
But now they're telling us that it's good for us it's for our teeth.
Yeah.
You know, gingivitis is the #1 cause of all tooth decay.
So, I don't know, it's crazy, dude. Like I said, we're seeing the fruits of their labors in our day and age.
That's how we started.
Yeah.
The last one, man.
Yep.
We are still seeing the ramifications of this today.
Absolutely. And another big one that happened, and we've spoke about on the show before, and we're going to do another deep dive into it, was MK Ultra. And one of the chemicals that we've talked about before that was used, LSD, was man-made, but it was introduced to the CIA, the OSS, by a gentleman by, what was his name? A gentleman, I dare say.
Lux. Charles Lux.
That's who it was.
He was one of the guys. I believe he was. He was an army officer.
Okay.
If my mind serves me correctly, he was one of the more friendly guys to these guys, right? Because people said there were plenty of people that said, including Albert Einstein, these people are not fit to be Americans.
Yeah,
they should not come over here.
Oh,
but they did anyway, and it was secretly. And it was against State Department directives and whatnot.
But we needed them.
At least public ones.
To fight communism.
So, Chuck Luck.
Chuck Luck.
That's Chuck E. Luck.
That sounds like his pusher's name.
Charles E. Luck.
Chuck Luck. I like it. Just call me Chuck Luck.
Rubbing elbows with German scientists, right? There's a picture of him in the book, Operation Paperclip, at a U.S. Army arsenal, rubbing elbows and laughing it up with all these Nazi scientists.
Just chirping with the boys, man. Jumping up, hey.
Hit me some of that cheese.
Hey, remember that time? you got any sauerkraut, buddy? I love that stuff.
And it was apparently a Nazi scientist that he befriended and, in fact, was a Nobel Prize winner.
This Nazi scientist?
This Nazi scientist. There we go. Oh, hey, there's another thing again. Oh.
Yeah.
Obama won the Nobel Prize. That's great.
Oh, these people are so good, yeah. The good Germans.
Richard Kuhn. Nobel Prize winner Richard Kuhn introduced Lux to LSD.
Nice.
Which we all know was what was used in MK Ultra.
And introduced in Laurel Canyon in the hippie movement. The Manson family.
Love LSD, man.
The government makes the best. According to the Manson family. They brought the fire.
So, this is what we like talking about. This is what we got together and drank beers and talked about before we started recording. Because this is what's interesting, right?
Yeah. But having the guy that one Nazi be a Nobel Prize winner, the other Nazi, they have an award after him, and he's a Hall of Fame in the space, whatever shit.
We talked about this. These people were cutting edge. They won awards.
Right. But this is the sad part about it is that even after all this nasty stuff, and they were told by other, like you said, Albert Einstein, like they are not fit to be Americans.
They are not fit to be Americans.
Not only did our government give them nice cush jobs to help them out and all this stuff, but they put them on pedestals. And they made them almost dang on American heroes.
Well, they made us forget it until a Freedom of Information Act request until the 90s.
Right. Like this was a conspiracy theory for 60 years or whatever.
You
right?
betcha.
40, 50, 60 freaking years. And now it's truth. It's truth.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
I wonder what's going to come out about 9/11 in the next 20, 30 years.
Well, the fact of the matter is, and this is pretty free of opinion, most of the forensic evidence was destroyed right away, right?
And then...
Like all of the debris was just...
shipped off to China as soon as possible.
We're getting off on a tangent here, but...
Yeah, we should probably wrap this up.
We should wrap this up.
MK Ultra's coming.
Yeah, we have other things to get to because while we've been doing Paperclip,
a lot of stuff.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
sounds like we got 31 M1A1 Abrams going over to Ukraine, and well, imagine that Ukraine's military is filled with Nazi insignia
through Germany, Poland. Weird. So, if you guys like this show, please like, follow, share, subscribe, share with your friends, your
word
family.
of mouth. Wildfire. Yeah. Some people say like a disease. I don't know who does that.
I don't know, some sick individual.
I would never be friends with anybody like that.
Right. But like I said, spread our show like a big old smile. We really appreciate you guys. And always remember.
Don't eat the yellow cake, that's for sure.
Yep.
Don't eat the yellow snow.
That's true too.
These are both really good points.
Frank Zappa.
Talk guys out.
Talk guys out.